Yeah, I found the Super Mario Bros. 3 video a little bit too daunting right now, so instead we're going to be talking about Bomberman. Bomberman is an arcade-style, puzzle-like, maze-based video game. Wow, that's a mouthful. Released in 1987 for the NES and PC Engine. Well, what about the original Famicom? I don't. PC Engine. I can't believe I forgot about that point. So you mean the 1990 game that isn't really the same thing? Like it's kind of an updated sequel, sort of remake thing. Okay, in 2004, yeah, it was re-released in 2004. So you got that part. I like this here. There's a lot of Euro trash seeping through the early versions of this article. It was strongly based on Hudson's own 1983 title, Eric and the Floaters, for the ZX Spectrum, which it wasn't because it was actually the MSX version, which here is being claimed as based off of this one. But actually though, being a Japanese company, it was the other way around. It's something I'll point out, and eventually we'll see kind of develop over time. That 1983 game is now considered a different game from the 1985 game on the Famicom. So yeah, it gets really interesting. All right, you'll see what I'm talking about though, real quick. But yeah, this is not the original. There seems to be this odd fascination from like someone to make this really Eurocentric, as we'll find out. This is something that bugs me too for a long. Like this is a nice, kind of accurate, really general description. But for years, it was just in order to get to the next maze, he had to find a door concealed under a block, which must be blasted away with a bomb. At the same time, he has to avoid the enemies, which is actually completely missing the point that you have to kill all the enemies before you can go through the door. But literal years, like this is 2006 now, literal years of this article existing, no one ever mentions that. It's just you gotta find the door. So, that's kind of a very essential part of gameplay, and you're just kind of ignoring that. That's not really cool, guys. Return of the stub. So yeah, see here, we're going on to the next revision a little while later, and it's like, now we had to have a Spanish name for it. Don Pepe y los Globos, which is totally the accurate, most preferred way to say it. I can guarantee you, someone who doesn't speak a lick of Spanish, that's how you say it. What really caught me off guard here is that I thought this was a fake thing. I thought it'd be weird that Sinclair themselves published the ZX Spectrum version, but apparently they did. According to the check I did last night, or something like that. I can't remember exactly where I looked, but yeah, it corroborated that with a later article, version of the article. I mean, just printing the story from the manual is, it's not the worst thing ever. At least it's kind of like a thing related to the game, but you don't really do that because it's taking away the purpose from the manual. This isn't a place to reprint. This is a Wikipedia article. Oh well, and we had some major epic screenshots that we'll never be able to see what they were. This threw me for a loop too, because I'm seeing all these versions listed right here. Like, what do you mean PlayStation Portable? Dreamcast? Nintendo 64? What the fuck are you going on about? Well, down here, someone brings up there was apparently a re-release on the PlayStation Portable, PSP, and Nintendo DS and all this stuff. I'm pretty sure those are actually just new versions of the game that just happen to use that name. I mean, even if the basic gameplay is the same, they all have multiplayer and all this shit added. And I don't think they're making any claims to be reimaginings of this specific original version here. So I don't know what the hell you're going on about. I especially don't know where the hell you got Dreamcast and Nintendo 64 from, because you don't even mention it down here. I think that might just be a vandal or someone trying to be sneaky and I want to imply that there was a port of the original game on, the Nintendo 64 and Dreamcast. I know there's a lot of Nintendo 64 Bomberman games, but those are most assuredly not a port, just a straight port of the original. Whew. But here we're into the real meat of it now. Gotta get myself ready. Let's get this lager going. All right. Believe it or not, the 8 enemy characters all have names and different movement patterns. In order of release, Valcom, the red balloon-shaped character, wanders around aimlessly at a moderately slow speed, but will change its direction instantly when it senses Bomberman is near. O'Neill, who looks like Chow, or the Chow from like fucking the Sonic games, you know. The blue/white garlic-shaped character runs around frantically and will only pursue Bomberman when in the same row/column. Dull. The dark purple, I wouldn't really say it's dark purple, it's more like reddish, but that's just me. The dark purple accordion harmonica-looking thing, very professional language for Wikipedia, bounces around at a moderate speed and doesn't change its direction too much. Meanvo, the orange bucktooth sphere, is the easiest of the three hunter characters to deal with. Moderately fast, it will sniff out Bomberman when it is near him. Wonder what kind of cologne Bomberman would wear. Doria, the light blue bubbly cloud, is the slowest of the enemy characters. It can move through walls, and sometimes its ridiculously slow speed is enough to dodge Bomberman's blast. Vape, the purple Pac-Man shade ghost, is one of three characters that can move through the destructible soft blocks. Well, they can't be that soft if, it takes a fucking bomb to destroy them. You could say that's softer, but it's not exactly a soft block. I hate these bastards anyway. For some reason, they always just act like shitlords when I play the game. It roams around aimlessly for the most part. Pass on reading this article. The fast and ferocious tiger face is out for Bomberman's blood, which didn't even fucking describe the character at all. Like, you kind of went into detail about game mechanics and stuff, and this is just he's an asshole, basically. Okay. And Potan, this deadly spinning coin zips through wall. How do you know he's a coin? Just because it's kind of flat looking? Like, it's hard to describe unless you see the enemy in action, but it's a flat coin looking object, like dude spinning around, but I wouldn't call him a coin necessarily, because it's not like you kill him and then or you can grab him, lock them up, and then go to your latest GameStop and order fucking Battletoads or something with it. Zips through wall. Did people even do Battletoads at GameStop jokes anymore? Am I just fucking old? Probably. Zips through walls straight for Bomberman, even from the other side of the board. Pontan will be found until the last 10 levels 40 to 50. Honestly, he barely shows up until level even 47. Honestly, he's barely there in the game by default. Will appear on any level when your timer runs down to 0. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad description of the enemies, but again, it's just, you don't need that much detail for them. You could basically figure out how they behave just by playing the game. Oh yeah, just talking about, just kind of continue off of what I was talking about here real quick. They're talking about, there's apparently, it will be re-released in 2007 for the Xbox 360 via Xbox Live Arcade. Citation needed. It's no, it was an online downloadable version of a Bomberman game with multiplayer and stuff. That has nothing to do with the original. The thing is with a series like this, there's a billion entries and they kept taking the original gameplay and doing stuff with it. You can't really just say that something's a port, because everything is going to be based off of the very specific original, because Bomberman has a very specific style to it. It's a very unique game when you think about it. Maybe not so much unique as time went on, but at the time, well, I guess it was an arcade game. Maybe we wouldn't even consider that unique. But you mentioned something being a Bomberman type game. People are going to know what the fuck you're talking about. So you can't just say that any newer game is going to be based off of that, because Hudson Soft would base their later game off of this very specific original game that everyone would know. That was kind of a word scramble, but you know what I fucking mean. Oh, and by the way, we're talking about conversions, right? Bomberman is said to be a robot that wants to be free from his job at a bomb factory. He'll turn human when he escapes. Each game has 50 levels in total. Very, very, very important when we're talking about conversions. And see, someone was trying to be fucking ahead of the curve here. I appreciate that, but I don't think there's ever been a reception, any reception at all. Even the latest version, there's no, little space for it, and, no reviews listed by, game journos or anything like that. This one gets filled up, though. And I'm we got some references here. Where? Do you see the citation numbers anywhere? Not really. You're just grabbing shit. And here we go. We got some more of this. Oh, we got. Remember those Super Mario Brothers video? We got the clones listed now too. If you want to play the game, you don't want to pay for it. Even just go download a ROM like any sensible person would. No, you're just gonna go grab the clone that someone made off of C off the webs. Especially this one. Someone put out this little story blurb here. It's exceptionally well written. Obviously, it's not the same one taken straight from the manual like earlier. Now, this is some original Shakespearean work here. Are you ready? The original Bomberman is a robot forced to work at a bomb factory. He is the best bomb maker there. Bomberman starts growing bored of making bombs in a factory day in and day out. He hears a rumor that any Bomberman that makes it from the underground factory gets a wish. Bomberman, desperate to escape his job, aren't we all, sets out on a journey to the surface and in turn Bomberman into human Bomberman using his wish. The only thing standing in his way in the factory's security guards who will do anything to keep the factory... Oh, you spelled factory right there, but you can't spell it right anywhere else. But that's just a sign of a masterpiece. Who needs fucking proper spelling when you fucking did that, like something of this caliber right here? Holy shit. Sadly, someone had to come in and ruin the perfection. They actually corrected the spelling here for a couple of them, yeah. Which I don't even know. It occurred to me just thinking about this now. So is this made up little blurb implying that if this Bomberman in particular gets to the surface, like all the Bombermen are going to turn into humans? I don't remember that being mentioned anywhere else, or that the fact that there was any other Bomberman. This game doesn't really have a story. Let's get real. It's just something that someone came up with. But yeah, I don't get it. I don't even know where this wish thing came from either. If you've beaten the game, this is spoilers, but like, who gives a fuck about it? When you beat the game, it's literally Bomberman gets to the surface and he turns into the Hudson Soft version of Lode Runner from their version of Lode Runner, and that's what the Japanese version just flat out tells you to go play Lode Runner, because now it's implying that's his continued adventures. Where the American version is more like, it kind of implies keep an eye out for him in another Hudson Soft game, which is cute. I actually really like that. Not so much the game he's in, because it's kind of mid, but yeah, I don't know where you get this idea that there was a wish involved. I thought it just somehow him getting to the surface, he just sheds his cybernetics and all of a sudden he just grows a beating heart or something like that. Why am I even questioning it? It's not like anyone who fucking put in that ending even gave a shit, so oh well. Oh, but here we go. We're going into full quality here. Nowadays, Bomberman also exists on mobile phones across Europe, because these games didn't also exist fucking on other like regions. In fact, I think some of these mobile games are only in Japan, if not the majority of them. And I'm pretty sure at least the plain ass like vanilla Bomberman game was probably on American phones too. You can find many different versions of these games, such as Bomberman Deluxe, Bomberman Kart, and even a Bomberman 3D. A Bomberman 3D. With the increasing development of new technology on mobile, Bomberman games became better and better. Well, that's kind of debatable, don't you think? Sort of subjective. Recently, the programmers added a multiplayer option via the Bluetooth connection. This major enhancement provides the original fun of playing with friends everywhere. Well, what was the original fun? Like, what specific brand of original were we talking about? This conversion to the mobile platform shows that Bomberman remains an icon in gaming history. Which, I mean, I guess by 2008 he kind of sort of was. Sort of? I mean, there's Bomberman games coming out, and then, obviously Hudson Soft went tits up and got bought by... Did they go tits up, or were they just bought by Konami? I don't know, but yeah. And now I guess there's sometimes Bomberman games. I haven't played them, but they're fun enough. Actually, I remember Super Bomberman R was kind of a big deal when the Switch launched. I don't know what I'm talking about. We're getting off topic. I'm seeing how long now that fucking Spanish name lasted. I'm not even trying to... Okay, I'm being kind of an asshole, like, talking about Europe. I actually don't hate Europe, but it's like... I don't know why specifically there was, like, the Spanish title. Like, surely... Maybe it is different, and it looks different from... I think it is fucking something different, because it just... Globos sounds like that's what they're implying the enemies are. But, you don't typically do that when on an English article. You would do it on the Spanish language article and then point out the original name. Kind of like you get, like, sometimes Japanese games with different names in English. You'd get the English name, and then it would put, like, here somewhere real quickly, the original Japanese name, or, like, in that A citation or whatever. You don't just fucking throw it in the middle of the article like this. It's dumb. The earlier game, Warp and Warp. I don't know too much about Warp and Warp, but, there is a part of it that's kind of like Bomberman. But I've never seen this obviously cited anywhere, like especially not in the Wikipedia fucking article. But I don't really seen that. I've never seen that corroborated or anywhere. So that's just some made up ass. I also like to. I don't know if this is in the earlier version. So yeah, story gameplay. So that's why Bomberman will turn human when he escapes and reaches the surface. That's why we needed it repeated from here and there because that's again really important to the gameplay. Again, I just like how they kept going too. Some of the I'm not even gonna try it. NTT Docomo handsets comes with Bomberman Wide instead. Some mobiles just like again this is nothing to do with this fucking thing. I mean this isn't the first time we've seen stuff like that in these fucking Wikipedia articles, but it boggles my mind after a while. It's like why can't you just focus on what the fuck we're talking about? It's not that hard. Oh, but here we go. Here's the real stuff going on. Here we go. Bomberman's moves and stats in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, baby. Put here by Mars Juan. All of this shit I'm not reading because, I don't feel like it. But yeah, you can see there's quite a set of moves we got here. Basic A, yeah, basic bitch. Only basic bitches don't play Bomberman in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I mean, considering I'm seeing like mods for like Smash Bros. 1, like on 64 and Melee that add in a shit ton of characters. There has to be Bomberman in one of those, right? Like the N64 one. But I can see someone adding Bomberman into like any of them. Anyway, yeah. Here we go. Bomberman will be most destructive against players who have no projectile or good range due to the fact that he has powerful full bombs and a good recovery. Plus, he has a small target, so also some fast attacks. But since he is small, he has bad range on his attacks. So that when he has bombs, so that's why he has bombs. Oh, I read that wrong. He's a very light character, probably lighter than Kirby. How the fuck could you be lighter than Kirby? Kirby is literally like. Kirby can literally inhale air and make himself a balloon, just like Jigglypuff. What? Also, you sit here and wonder, like, how does this even get added? Like, who would add this to a Wikipedia article? And I can just tell you, it's just some bored kid. Or some really, really, like, developmentally stunted man-child or lady or something like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is pure. This is pure. I like this. This is innocent. Someone really liked Bomberman, wanted to see him in Smash Bros. Brawl. I mean, he should be in Smash Bros. It better be in Smash 6. And then finally we start getting, I like this is what I'm talking about. We're actually getting something good. The development tab finally came back. And people started realizing that, this is the very first time I think people started pointing out that the 1983 game is not the same thing necessarily as the 85 game. Like, it really isn't. There was, like, the 1983 game is a lot more basic. Like, I don't even think you had, like, I can't even describe it to you because I just blanked out and forgot what all the differences are. But basically, it's a very basic game, as, kind of implied here with the citation even, too. Whoa. I mean, Next Generation, you can kind of believe. You can get behind Next Gen. Next Generation was actually pretty repeatable. It was basically, yeah, it's a tech demo. That's all they kind of made it for. Kind of gave it a small release, and then it kind of actually did okay. And then they decided to start making Famicom games. They're like, hey, we can port that old game over. And, like, this is, like, the best one, even kind of backed up here. Shinichi Nakamoto commented in a 1995 interview that I personally believe that the Famicom version of Bomberman is the one and only version of the game. So, yeah, this is, like, the real original release. But there is the 1983 release that does exist, and it is a different game. It's a different release that was built on to make the new Bomberman on Famicom. I'm glad that this is kind of a point that... It's actually going to lead up to the ending of this video. I want to point something out. And I also like that finally they mentioned that there was an actual remake or like kind of rendition of the original game. Not like all that PSP, Nintendo DS, N64, Xbox Live bullshit. But there was the Bomberman Party Edition that it has the original game and it gives it a multiplayer mode and like uses some new graphics, but it is meant explicitly to be a version of the original game. And this has stuck with the article ever since, so I'm glad that finally came up somewhere. And like see also, we finally got our Bomberman games listed. Still got all the Eurotrash versions listed, but here's something interesting I would have liked to see. There was a apparently like the passwords. I love when people would go back to these old games with passwords and like document the shit out of the password systems. Because you'd find all these weird possibilities and glitches and just like invalid things you could get the game running and just do the like wacky stuff with it. But moronic research, apparently, whatever they're like, this website's not available. And I'm stupid and didn't bother. I don't ever bother to check for archives because I'm not really that concerned about it. I'm more concerned about reading the Wikipedia articles. But it could have been something I could have done myself. I will relent to that. This is an interesting thing. It kind of shows up in the later version of the articles. I think it would be more apt for like the original like 1990 version, like TurboGrafx game. But yeah, when you think about it, Bomberman kind of pioneered the last man standing in game mode in games. Like, I mean, it pioneered a lot of multiplayer stuff when you kind of think about it. But the idea of, yeah, there's a game mode where, like, you're slowly, everyone's getting killed off. One person has to remain. That kind of started with Bomberman. And it's a really interesting thing. And I wish people would appreciate more in this day and age, like, how much Bomberman did to kind of influence multiplayer gaming and stuff like that. Like, obviously, I would say in the long run, Doom was probably more important alongside maybe Street Fighter 2 for, like... Well, Street Fighter 2 is more like a fighting game thing, and I'm not trying to shit on fighting games, but fighting games involved... Like, that kind of multiplayer gaming is different from, like, Doom Deathmatch, like, or, like, Deathmatch in, like, Quake or something when you have, like, like 4 or more people, and, like, Bomberman was, like, 4 or more people. But you know what I mean? Like, Bomberman was right there from the beginning, kind of setting that up, and whereas, like... And now you could argue the other examples I mentioned were probably more important in the long run. I don't know. I think Bomberman deserves a little bit more credit sometimes. But I guess that's a harder thing to describe to people nowadays because, what are normies playing nowadays? Like, I don't know, fucking the Halo remaster that, like, is broken. And, like, it tells you where the invisible enemies are. So what the hell do I know? What's really important is that this little link right here. I clicked on this because this is an official link, right? And it was like, it takes to like the Hudson Sob website from like fucking 2005. And it's just a small little blurb here. Here's the original Japanese version. Nothing too crazy, just some basic information. I read this though, and I'm going to show you the machine translated version. But I did personally go over this, and yes, it's basically it's saying the same thing here, just kind of like less well articulated. But I like this. It was talked about as helping to relieve stress not only for children, but also for fathers. I mean, I guess so, if that's what it became known for in Japan. I'm not going to doubt the fucking official website. I just find that really funny that, like, that's a specific, like, selling point or, like, something of merit of the game that, like, Hudson Soft themselves felt like pointing out. That's just amazing. I mean, what about all the moms? Like, she fucking kind of, like, washing her husband's dirty underwear day in and day out, and he doesn't fucking even appreciate her sitting on the couch drinking cans of Stella like I'm knocking back this Neo Lager and just being an ignorant fuck. I would need some stress relief on my fucking Famicom Nintendo Entertainment System video game system apparatus. And, this isn't necessarily related at all to old Wikipedia article revisions, but I just want to point out this is the... Something that's just happened is that there are actually now 2 articles as of August 6, 2026, for both the Bomberman, which is technically the more accurate spelling of the 83 game, and the 1985 thing. And I'm only really pointing this out because, go away, I don't want to fucking donate. I've donated years ago and I feel shit about it. It's funny because I went to start this, and I went to view history on this article, and it was like, just that. I'm like, what? I hadn't been on this article not that long ago, and all of a sudden what do you mean it just was started July 21st? Or 21st, 31st. But no, someone just a couple days ago split this off into its own separate article, and I find that's incredible when you see shit like this happening in real time. And as far as I know, this has never happened before with this article. Because I went through the 1983 one's article revision, and that's where I got all the ones we just looked at. So this is really recent, and they never did that before, as far as I know, so... I agree. I think that should happen with the original MSX and Famicom Disk System version of, like, say, Puyo Puyo. That should be a separate article, and then there should be the article for the, arcade Genesis one, because they're 2 different things, even though they're very similar, and one is clearly very much built off of the other one, but they are separate. There's no reason to lump them together, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, nothing really to do with old article revisions, but I found it neat.